Okay, so we're on day 4 of the 5-day challenge. Wow, it's been quite a week already, and thank you to everyone that's messaged me and sent emails over the past, last night and the past couple of days. It's just a beautiful group. There's a really vibrant energy about you all, and yeah, I can see like people are already starting to have shifts, and that's just with me talking. That's without even actually getting your specific issues or blocks transformed. So that's super cool. Before we get into today, I just wanted to answer a couple of questions that were posted up into the group. Nameen first of all has asked, she's first of all said hats off to Kathy. She just watched the day 2 replay, and she's asked me to give examples of differences between values, belief systems and goals, and how they may work or may not work against each other. Yes, I would love to give some examples of this. The very first time that I sort of really saw this crystal clear was when I had a client who, this is an example of a belief system and a value in conflict with each other. Okay, so this was a client who he's gay. He had a value on, that's his value. That's who he is. He had a goal to, get a partner, but he also was brought up in a very strict Catholic household. So that is an example of a belief system, because even though his parents had accepted him, his parents were still kind of embarrassed and didn't want their friends to find out, and would sort of make excuses why he didn't have a girlfriend. And so for him, that brought a lot of shame because he didn't fit into the belief system of his people. Like, it was just a conflict. Like it's who he was, that's who he was. So that's an example of a belief system and a value being in conflict with each other. I've got another really beautiful example of this. Sophia, which she's not here this week. Often she does show up on the 5-day challenges. I've worked with Sophia for years and years. And she's got a beautiful example. In fact, the DeMartini Institute wanted to use our consult in their marketing because they were like, wow, this is so powerful. So when she was on one of my mastermind groups a couple of rounds ago, and she has a high value on education, and she had a goal to finish her degree. Okay, and her degree was in interpreting. She's Greek Ethiopian, and so she's an interpreter. So she interprets, that was her thing. Now, in order to pass this particular degree, you need to get 70%. You need to get 70% in your oral exam, otherwise you cannot pass the whole degree. So she was coming up to her final year, 70%, and she said, so this was her goal. Her goal was getting the degree. Her value is on education. And this is an example of a belief that was just like a belief that came not from her childhood, but a belief that actually came from a trauma, actually undermining her efforts. Because each time she would sit down to study, she said she'd get this incredible pain in the back, like right there, and it would shoot right up to her head. And she said, and every time I think about the exam, I almost go into a panic attack. She said, I don't know what's going on here. She said, this has been going on for years, but it's actually kind of peaking. And she said, and I don't think I'm going to be able to pass this exam. She said, all these, and for her, this was not just her value on education, but passing this exam was her financial freedom, because the quality of jobs and her level of pay jumps substantially. So it was really important to her on so many levels that she passed this exam. So what we did is we did a consult where we sat there, and I said to her, okay, I want you to get into that space and imagine that you're in the exam. Tell me what feelings come up. And it was just like this, debilitating anxiety. And so I said to her, okay, I want you to get really present. I want you to go back to the very first time that you can imagine that you remember feeling this exact same way. And this is going to blow your mind. So she takes me back to this moment when she was in Ethiopia. She's 15 years old, and she's walking to school on a Saturday to do an exam. Okay, so look at the similarities here. And all of a sudden out of the bushes, so she's walking down like this dirt track with her brother, all of a sudden out of the bushes come two gunmen. They grab them from behind and stick a gun into her back. And for 3 minutes, she thought that she was going to die. She actually thought that she was going to die. Now, what she said was that this sort of stuff went on a lot when she was a kid. And in the morning, what they would do is they'd listen to the radio and find out if there were any gunmen around, because that was kind of the world that they lived in. But that morning, because they had the exam, their routine was different. They didn't listen to the radio. So there she is with the gun pointed in her back for 3 minutes, thinking that she's going to die just outside of the school gates before some authorities came. And it ended up just being two 15-year-old kids. They were just kids. They didn't even really know what they were doing. So what we did is we then started to clear the emotions around that. We started to look at what were the benefits of this situation actually occurring, because, hey, the drawbacks were obvious. Now, the things that she came up with, like quick, and I love working with Sophia because she is a quick processor. Straight away she saw that Ethiopia is a country that doesn't have a high value on education for girls. Females in that culture are there to get married and have babies, and that was absolutely not the life that she wanted for herself. Now, they did have a Greek heritage, and from that point forward, her parents actually, after almost losing 2 kids on one day, she begged them, Mum and Dad, please can we move back to Greece? And within 4 months she was out of that country. Now, she'd been asking them for years to move back to Greece, years and years and years, and they said, absolutely no way, this is our home now. So the main benefit was that she got to move back to Greece, and within a few months after that, that all immigrated out to Australia. Her opportunities when it comes to education in this country surpass anywhere else in the world that she could have possibly landed. Okay, anywhere else. And so as we went through, and in each moment when we saw each time she was challenged who was supporting her, it just cleared. Like, it literally cleared within a matter of, like, once we got on a roll and started asking the questions, it was cleared within 10 minutes. And I said to her, go back to that moment when you were sitting there. Now that you can see the other side and see how this really served a purpose to you, can you go back to that moment when you had the gun in your back? How does it feel now? And she goes, yeah, it feels fine. Just feels like an event. And that's when you know you're done, when you can go back to the original source of the distress, and it just feels like an event. It just feels like an event. I know some of you that have worked with me have had that experience. It's so cool. But the most important thing was, I said to her, okay, now I want you to imagine that you're sitting inside that exam room. How does that feel? She goes, totally fine. No problems at all. So she went and she started studying, and she said, but get this is the part that's super cool. She said, I can't feel the headache anymore. Like that was the big clincher. So from that point forward, each time she sat down to study, she said, I would get this terrible back from right there, which is where the gun was sitting, right up into her head. And she said, it's gone. And I spoke to her only a few weeks ago, and she said, do you know, I've never got that back and neck pain back ever since we've done that session. So that is an extreme example of when, like, a belief, and that is that, you know, the belief was, if I do an exam, I'm going to die. Like, it's easy to see where that came from, but the value was on education. Okay. And can you see where those two were in such big conflict with her? Such a massive conflict. So that consult was worth its weight in gold to her. She's now, you know, she passed her exam with flying colours and is now doing exactly what she loves. So I hope that that's answered your question. I hope that that's answered your question about beliefs and values being in opposition. And before we get into things, there was Katana had another Katana had another question about values. Now, when you're doing values, answer just three answers for each question. Just answer 3. Don't go into too much detail. It just like 1 or 2 words for each one. And then, yeah, to answer your question, if you've got 2 that are kind of similar, so one value might be you know, spending time with friends. That might have come up on, what do you spend time with? Oh, well, I spend time catching up with friends after work. We often go for a drink. Okay, perfect. Put that down. Then another Another value might, on where do you spend your money? It might be, oh, well, I spend my money on going out to dinners with friends. So you just put that into social. You can just group them loosely, because you're not going to have succinct answers for each one, but you'll notice that there's areas. So use the areas. There are 7 areas of life, and that is spirituality. That is your, there's also your mental, which is your learning, your vocational and your career, your financial side, your family, your social, and your physical. Physical can mean health or appearance. They're kind of both similar. And some people will have a value on health but not appearance. Some people will have a, but that's the area. So yeah, just do group it in loosely, is what I would absolutely recommend that you do. Okay. Okay, so I think I hope that's cleared up what's the difference between a value and belief. And like Sophia's example is a pretty extreme, and also the one with the client who was gay, whose family, had a really strong Catholic belief. Our beliefs are largely inherited, but that's an example of two. That the guy that was gay, that's an inherited belief. That was a very strong Catholic culture. And Sophia's was from a specific event, okay? So they're the 2 places that beliefs come from. They're the only 2 places that beliefs come from. So just, yeah, keep that in mind. They do cause a lot of brain noise when they are, when they are not in harmony, okay? They really do. So I posted up the details of the mastermind yesterday, so that's there for everyone to check out. There's a couple of things that I forgot to actually tell you guys about with the mastermind as well, and that is there's also, like, the grand finale is the very last week. I also get a relationships expert from Canada. Her name's Amanda. The reason that I love and I invite her on is because when it comes to relationships, she nails it. Okay, so anyone that's having any relationship challenges, you'll probably find that last week is worth like the whole program. When it comes to relationships, now why she's so qualified is when she was 19, she went over to Japan and studied as a geisha for 3 years. And then she sees relationships from a different side, because then on returning to Canada, she then, or even though her business is in the US, she actually opened and still runs to this day, although she's in the process of closing it down, one of the largest high-class escort agencies in the whole of the US. And so she's worked as a high-class call girl. She sees it from a totally different side. She specializes in relationships as well as business. So they're two values of mine as well. And so she comes on and just does coaching, and she stays on the call until everyone has been able to ask their questions. Actually, can I just Kathy, you were on the last call. Can I just unmute you here? What was your? I mean, I can say it, but give me your feedback. What was that relationships call worth to you?
Yeah, she was amazing. So I think everyone on the call had different questions, but I think they all just 100% related to each other as well. So no matter who was speaking or what their question was, everyone got benefit from it. It just, I guess, makes sense of things in a different way than you wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, awesome. And also, while I've got you on the line, while you're unmuted, because you've just finished the last mastermind. Now, even though that mastermind it was a different format to what we're going into. We're going into a format that provides a lot more coaching than what this one did. What was your sort of before and after? Because you sort of came into it without a relationship, and that was your goal. What was your sort of before and after experience with the mastermind?
So my kind of goal of doing the mastermind was to be in a place to have a relationship. So yeah, as you said, like I didn't have one when I started. There was someone around, but it wasn't we weren't really there. So over the last 12 weeks or whatever it's been, albeit we've still got a long way to go, I am seeing someone, and I think just getting rid of some of those beliefs as to why I've been single for so long, and, taking some of that, self-blame and looking back to previous relationships and, as we discussed many times, seeing where I already have relationships in so many different forms with friends and families and stuff like that. So I don't actually need a relationship, so to speak, with a guy because I have it in so many different places.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and so, but the beautiful thing as well is that you do have a relationship. But the other question that I've got is, I mean, like, even just everyone on the course could see it in you that there was a shift. Like we could all feel it. It's like we kind of felt like we were there with you.
Yeah.
But the other thing as well is, do you find now that you're like, do you feel like you're in a more empowered place stepping into this relationship? Like, because that's really, I think, the key. How does that feel?
Yeah, definitely. I kind of get less worried, I guess, around like communication is a big thing for me. And even it was only the other night I had a bit of a moment where I get home from work and I kind of shut down and just want to do whatever I do at night. And then I'm getting annoyed at him for not speaking to me. And I'm like, well, of course he's not speaking. He's just doing what I do. Sort of thing. Like, so yeah, I'm a lot more like, oh, look, you know, he's there. I know he's there. And, you know, he's just doing his thing.
Yeah, beautiful. So what Kathy's just talked about is the law of transparency. What we see in others and what pisses us off in others is actually a reflection of what's going on with us. So we go into, I mean, that once you kind of work that out, all of a sudden the whole world becomes your own personal development opportunity when you can really start to see that in play and see exactly how that feels. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really
no worries.
Actually, before you do go, because the other thing as well that I forgot to mention about those that do go on into the mastermind, this was something that I actually had no idea was going to occur when I very first started this. And that is, in fact, and Chrissy, I know that you've been away for a few weeks, but you were on that one as well. What did it mean to you, and what was your experience of having the support of the group, not just me, but actually having the support of the entire group while you were on that mastermind?
I think sometimes, like, yeah, you got different perspectives, and everyone was really supportive and understanding of each other's circumstances. So like I said before, everyone had completely different reasons for being on the course, but yet everyone's queries and stuff that they asked or questions that came up benefited everybody else. So it was just a safe place, I guess, to be able to talk and bounce your ideas off, and knowing that it helped everyone as well as helping you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And that was on it. Like, I think I didn't really give it enough credit when I first started this, how powerful that was actually going to be for so many people, because, you know, transformation is, you know, and it's challenging. So like, you need that balance of support to kind of get you through. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for your insights there. I appreciate that.
Nice.
Yeah, and Chrissy, I know that you've been on holidays. But can I just ask you quickly, what was your experience of the of having the support of the group?
It was nice to see that there are other people as screwed up as I was, and it kind of feel not as alone when you're trying to find answers for yourself. Like, everyone is going through the same thing. Yeah.
That is so valuable, and that is something that when you work with me on a one-on-one consult, and people say to me, oh my God, you must think I'm crazy. And it's like, no, everyone goes through this, but people often don't believe me. So yeah, there is massive value in that as well, which is, why we're going to be doing more and more and more of that as the, in this particular round. So I think that's, we've talked about, you know, this week has been an amazing week. You know, we've talked about beliefs, we've talked about, we've talked about beliefs, we've talked about what stresses you, which is values. We talked about mindset, and mindset is the absolute key. Now, last night with your challenge, you know, the challenge question, I gave everyone the same one. Doesn't matter what challenge it is that you're like, the answers will be the same, whether or not it was your resistance to joining the mastermind group. The answers really are what your block is. Like, it's not just in this area of what we're doing here this week, but the answers that you've given, you'll find that these will be your patterns. These will be your patterns of resisting change. Okay. So that's, so when you look at that, I want you to kind of now open yourself to the possibility that the answers that you gave are not just particular to your resistance in joining the mastermind. That will be your resistance. You'll find that that will be a consistent pattern, like a really broad perspective of why you in general resist doing things that are going to be beneficial for you. So just to recap on that, because each of you has an innate desire to, do something amazing with your life. Would you all agree with that? Would you all agree that there's like this burning desire to just do something amazing with your life? Everyone's hand went up. Great. But what undermines this is this desire to stay small. Like, we all have this part to stay small because we know what this feels like. This is not scary. When I stay small, when I don't shine, I fit in. Everyone knows where I fit in. Can you see how that value and that belief, the value, so the value is to shine. The value, that is an alignment, that is yours. Okay, that is not a belief system, that is yours. The value is to shine. The value is to do something amazing with your life. The belief is that if I shine, I won't fit in. I won't fit in, like on whatever. There'll be different versions of that, but ultimately it'll be kind of the same thing. Like, I'll get rejected if I shine. Like, I won't know where I fit if I shine. People know me here. Samantha's just asked, I find my block is not having money. How do you overcome that when you don't actually have the money? Well, the thing is that we don't have money for things that are not important to us, and we find the money when things are important. Natalie said, do you have items that you can sell, stuff that no longer fits your lifestyle? And hey, Natalie, you're on point. I've done that when there's something that I've wanted that I'm like, I really want to do this. I'm like, cool, I'm not using this stuff. I might sell this on Gumtree, make the $500 for the, thing that I wanted. I've had people that have gone, do you know what? Yes, I'm working for somebody at the moment, so my income, but when you're in alignment and when you're in a resourceful place, you start to see opportunities. When you're blocked and you've got resistance, you see obstacles. Okay, it's that simple. It is actually that simple. So get into that resourceful state of mind. If you keep focusing on the problem of no money, you will stay, like the law of attraction states, that you will keep like generating not enough money. If you keep focusing on there's not enough money, that's the law of attraction. That's the vibration. If you step out of that into, okay, I have a desire to get more money, let's start looking at the solution. If you step into that solution mindset, you'll start to see opportunities, because there are opportunities everywhere. I posted up into the group a couple of months back, who thinks that it's mindset, who thinks it's circumstances. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, actually it might have been Parna actually said, I think Oprah's a good example that it is mindset. It was like, yes, that's so true. If anyone didn't have the opportunities, it was her. So it really does come down to mindset. Are you going to be part of the problem, or are you going to be part of the solution? Because I guarantee if something was high on your values, like say for example, if something happened to, like, children are a good one. I know if something happened to my son tomorrow and I needed to come up with, I don't know, like, let's just pluck a ridiculous figure out of the sky. If I needed to come up with $5 million tomorrow to save my son's life, do you reckon that I would have any trouble finding that? I can tell you I'd have that within 24 hours. I'd absolutely have that. You get resourceful when something is important to you. So, okay, so Natalie said, as a professional organizer, I can vouch that most people have about $2,500 laying around their home. That's true. And Phil's often come home and said to me, what's that doing in the entry? I'm like, someone's picking it up. I've just sold it on Gumtree. He's like, what? Our coffee table? I'm like, yeah, we don't need it. So you know, that, like, so yeah, just I want you to just catch yourself out on that. It is mindset. Okay, it is mindset. If you focus on the problem, you will create more problems. If you focus on the solution, you will create more solutions, and you'll start seeing opportunities. Yeah, so whatever your resistance was, whatever your blocks were last night, I want you to now open your mind that is your pattern. Like, start to have a look at where that's been your pattern of resisting, stepping out of the old and into the new, and the version of you that is going to do something amazing with your life. Okay. Okay, so today we are covering the 3 fantasies that keep us blocked. Okay, the 3 fantasies that keep us blocked, that keep us stuck. Now, once you have these, write these down. This is really important. Once you have these for life. And this is a really good structure to check off your goals. Now, the first thing with a goal, let me just grab my flip chart quickly. There we go. Sorry that it's got a little bit of Floyd's art down the bottom, but we still understand the gist of this. So, okay. So the first thing that is a fantasy that is blocking you from your goals is that your goal is one-sided, and that means that it does not fit into universal laws. In the universe, everything is in perfect harmony and perfect balance, okay? So if you do something that is extreme infatuation, you will attract extreme resentment in another form, so that they cancel each other out, because the universe is balanced. You are not going to escape that law. It's impossible. It's like trying to say, I'll give you $1 billion if you can give me just the positive side of a magnet. You can try, but there's no way that you can actually do that, okay? The universe is balanced. Your perception is not, but the universe is, okay? Keep that in mind. Your perception is often very lopsided, but the universe is in absolute harmony and balance. So if you attempt to set a goal that is in total infatuation, where you have not embraced both support and challenge, like if you're completely blind to the downside, if you've set a goal and you're completely blind to the hard work that it's going to, the hard work that might be required, the challenges that will come your way. If you think, oh yes, I'm going to set this goal and it's just going to be easy street the whole way, then it's outside of universal law and it's a fantasy. And the more you are in infatuation, the more you will attract the other side to break your addiction. Okay, let me say that again. The more you are in infatuation, the more you will attract the other side in the form of like heaps of challenges to break your addiction. The universe doesn't want you to be addicted to, like dopamine, endorphins, like, all the feel-good hormones. Like, the universe wants you to find your soul's purpose, or God, or whatever that is for you. Some people call it God, some people call it the universe, some people call it the higher self. Whatever your terminology is, it's okay. But the purpose is not for you to seek pleasure all the time. That's not the purpose of life. The purpose is to find your purpose, to live a really inspired and fulfilling life. Does that feel like a more solid goal for people? Because, hey, to be happy all the time, like, and I'm not saying don't do things that make you happy, but that excitement, that total infatuation, it's often what's throwing you away from your true purpose and your true goals. Like, that's the truth of it. It's often throwing you off course. For example, have you ever been infatuated with when we get into a new relationship? Have you ever got into a new relationship? And for some of us, that's like, I've been with my husband for 15 years, so, I can't even remember that. But I'm sure that I did crazy shit when we first got together that was not inside my values. I know that he did to me. I know that he'd be like, yeah, of course I love doing that. And then years later, you go, I thought you said you liked that. He's like, no, I hate that. Because we often inject other people's values when we're infatuated. We often do things that are outside of our value systems because we're infatuated and we just want to, we just get addicted to those feel-good hormones, that dopamine and the endorphins and the oxytocin and all that stuff. It feels good. But the thing is, it's not sustainable and it's not fulfilling. And also, it's often really reliant on other people and external circumstances. So you become like that animal mind where you're chasing your fix, you're chasing your fix. Whereas when you find this centered purpose, it comes from within. Okay, you're mastering your life because you're not looking for other people or external circumstances to fulfill you. You are able to generate that experience all on your own. Who thinks that would be a cool spot to be in? It is. I can assure you, because, this is the world that I live in. I know that I didn't always live in this world. And for those that don't know my background, I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years now, like this particular thing. But before this, I used to work for a builder selling houses. And I just used to go, like, on the outside, my life looked perfect. Like my life, like I had a nice house, had a nice car, had a good job, was, reasonably successful. But oh my God, did I used to do my head in. Like I just felt so empty, like there's just this constant, churning, constant feeling of like sadness that would creep up. And I was like, why do I feel this way? I didn't really know how to put my finger on it. I didn't even know how to articulate it. I didn't know that it wasn't normal. That's like the crazy thing. I actually didn't even know that it wasn't normal. I just thought this is how people felt. Oh, okay. I think the 2-year-old's on his way up, so we might get a visitor from Floyd. I know I'm so brave, like leaving him. Anyway, he might come up and just sit on my knee. Okay, but when I realized that sort of, that life didn't need to be this way, and that was when I remember just sitting there at work one day and just going like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not fulfilling to me. Like, what am I actually doing? And I said to my husband, I'm getting ready to quit my job and transition. Like my life, I need more. I need more. Like, I think I'd probably done his head in for the first half of our relationship because I was trying to get him to fulfill that void for me. I know I was a pain in the ass. But the thing is, like, he can't fulfill that. Nobody externally can fulfill that. I needed to find that place inside myself. And that was the point in which I began embarking on this journey. So I know what it feels like. I really do. So that's the first thing. Your goal is one-sided. Okay, check it off. If you just want the good if you just want the good without the bad, if you just want the easy street without the challenges that you're going to need to address, if you just want it to be smooth sailing, if you want other people to help you and do it for you without taking ownership, then it ain't going to happen. Okay, so check off your goals. Are they just one-sided? The next thing to check off is, okay, let's just say so the second thing is that you're willing to embrace pain and pleasure, but it's not in alignment with your values. So this is where the combination of mindset work but with values work is like an unstoppable force. Because if you've got a goal that you're willing to embrace pain or pleasure, but it's not inside your value system, you will self-sabotage. Any self-sabotagers here? Like, I know this is something that we often say that we do. You guys don't self-sabotage. You just go back to living inside your values. So don't beat yourself up for that. Check it off. Like, is this really your goal, or are you doing this because it's for somebody else, or or do you feel like, yeah, do you like, is there what's going on? That's what I'd want to know. Like, I had someone the other day that she really wanted to lose weight, and she was willing to embrace pain and pleasure. She was willing to, she knew what it took, but she said, I just can't seem to get to the gym. And we did a quick consult, like literally 5 minutes. And she worked out that it wasn't her goal. Her husband was putting pressure on her. And she said, I'm not doing it. She said, I want to do this, but the reason I'm not is out of rebellion, because how dare he tell me? And it was like, okay, well, that's okay. But now that she recognized it, I said, is there part of you that wants this? And she said, yeah, there is part of me that does want it. I said, well, you can, if this is truly what you want, don't sit in rebellion and cut your nose off to spite your face. Like, go for it. Just do it anyway. So that is another example of when it's not quite your goal. Often you won't change the goal. Like in her case, she didn't change the goal, but she changed the meaning that she put to it. She started to find her own reasons and how it was in alignment with her own values, rather than somebody else projecting that you should do this, you should do this. So that's number 2. Check off that it is in alignment with your values. Okay, if it's not, it's going to be really hard for you to stay inspired. You will need external motivation. And if you need external motivation, it's not your goal. Okay, if you find inspiration from within and you're like, enthusiastic, it's your goal. We've all felt the difference. Who's ever needed motivation for a goal, and who's ever felt inspired? Yeah, just, check in with that later. They feel different. The ones that are inspiring, that's yours. So that's number 2. Now, the third thing, I love the third thing because I've been guilty of this. In fact, this program almost never happened because I hadn't nailed this third thing. And that is that you've checked it off. You're willing to embrace pain and pleasure. You've checked it off. It's in alignment with your values. But the third thing is you don't have a strategy, okay? If you don't have a strategy of how you're going to achieve your goal, it is going to throw you so deeply into overwhelm that it's not even funny, okay? You'll have fear, you'll have anxiety, you'll feel overwhelmed. So you've got to have a strategy, okay? Mindset needs to be part of your strategy, okay? Mindset needs to be part of your strategy. If you're sitting there and it still feels like too big, you're still like, I'm not sure how to do this. I don't even know if it's a goal that is just a stretch for me. The goals that are the stretch are the best ones to aim for. But mindset, it needs to be part of your strategy. Strategy could also be, like meditating on it, strategy can still incorporate the spiritual side of things, your daily rituals, but then it's got to be like broken down. Okay, what's the next step to get here? What is the next step that I've got to do to get closer to my goals? I had someone yesterday, or no, it was 2 days ago, who it was an old client I hadn't spoken to for ages. When I very first met her, she barely could pay the first payment on the payment plan, and within by the end of the program, we shifted one belief around money. She had a deep-seated belief that people that made money weren't spiritual. Can you see how that would be blocking her business, because spiritual was her highest value? And she's well on her way, but she said, I've kind of fallen into a lull. She said, I'm just actually feeling quite overwhelmed with all of the goals that I've got. And I was like, well, what are the goals? And she said, well, to travel the world, I want to live, like, she lives close to the beach now, but she said, I actually want to live on the beach. Maybe even somewhere overseas, exotic, and then she said, and, my business, I want that to be, earning 50 grand a month. It was like, okay. So she said, I'm so worked out, where am I going to live on the beach and this? And I was like, you don't even need to worry about any of that. Just focus on making the money. And once you've got that, you'll then be able to work out what opportunities can fit into that. Sometimes we complicate our strategy rather than just focusing on what's the next step. What's the next step? You don't need to know every step between here and where your goal is. And if it's a big goal, you won't. In fact, don't even try. You just need to always know the next step and be prepared to take imperfect action. Be prepared to take imperfect action. Perfectionists, it's actually a self-worth issue. Okay? If you are a perfectionist, if you are saying to yourself, oh, it's not perfect yet, it is actually a self-worth issue. That needs to be addressed, because that will keep you stuck. You will regret this at the end of your life if you don't take imperfect action. Even like with when I was getting my course up and running, and the best advice that I got was, somebody said, if you don't look back on your first course and cringe, it means that you didn't launch soon enough. I was like, great, that's all I needed to hear. Let's do it. So I did. I wouldn't even go back and look at those recordings. They would probably be quite embarrassing for me. Anyway, I'm sure some of you actually have them on file. Don't do it. So those are the 3 things. Those are the 3 fantasies that are potentially keeping you stuck. So what I would love you to do is go back to your goals and just check off, you know, one of these three fantasies what's blocking you. Is that part of what's creating the resistance here? Is that something that does need to be addressed? Because as you can see, like, are you guys starting to get a sense now that there's more than one pathway? You know, our mind has a lot of components to it. And so, like, I'm always sort of a bit, you know, resistant. I think that's why I've sort of focused on mastering so many different modalities, so that it's not just like, oh yeah, this one way will, you know, fix the problem, solve the problem. There's many different ways. You know, there's looking at that. What I've shared with you today is the work of Dr. John DeMartini. You know, doing the mindset, working with that, understanding your values, looking at beliefs. Like, it's all roads lead to Rome here. Okay, so before we go today, I apologise for going over time again. Before we go today, today's challenge. Oh, hang on. Okay, I actually wrote it down and left it downstairs because I was, as you know, my 2-year-old son's downstairs looking after himself while I do this. Okay, so today's challenge is to look at the resistance from last night's challenge. Okay, look at the resistance from last night's challenge and I want you to actually take a look at where that is your transformational pattern. I want you to see if that is a pattern that you keep on repeating. And then I want you to ask yourself, what do I need to do to overcome this? Okay, this is the power of Beck screwed her face up. Hey, it's a challenge, not a support. It's not a 5-day support. It's a 5-day challenge. So ask yourself, you know, what do I need to do? You know, what behaviors would I need to do? What beliefs would I need to clear out? You know, how can I take ownership of this and step through it? Because this won't just be blocking you here. This will be, I want you to have a look at where this is already your transformational pattern as well, because you'll find that there's, you know, our patterns just keep repeating. It's just different circumstances, but our resistance to change, it doesn't matter what area we look at, there'll be common threads throughout your whole life. So that is tonight's challenge. Enjoy. And now, who was it that volunteered for today's balance? There was, I think it was Namia, but I can't see that she's on at the moment. So that's okay. Is there anyone that wanted to volunteer? Is there anyone? Okay, Jennifer, awesome. It says, awesome. Hi, how are you going?
Hi. Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Sorry, do we call you Jennifer, or is it Jenny or Jen?
Jen or Jennifer is fine.
Jen or Jennifer. Okay, perfect. Okay, so same format as before. We've never officially met, so hi, really nice to meet you. Thanks for being here.
No worries.
And what I would like to ask you is first of all, is there a particular goal that you're going for, or is there something, you know, is there a particular area that you can already see that you're blocked in, or?
I am just in the process of starting a business,
okay.
And I have never really done it before, and I'm just a little bit kind of I don't really know where the block is, but it's just a little bit overwhelming, and there's just lots of ideas and not a lot of clear. There's a clear destination. There's not a lot of clear direction through at the moment.
So you've got the end, but all the other bits feels a bit murky. Is that right?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So can I ask, what's the business? What's the destination?
To develop some online courses to help women with finances and with personal finance, and also to coach or mentor people who have undergone weight loss surgery in terms of body positivity and how to feed themselves nutrition wise, not obviously how to feed themselves, they know how to do that, but how food works in their body and how their body will handle food differently now after the surgery.
So which one's the most important one out of those two?
They fight with each other.
Okay, so the very first step is to pick one.
I think it's the weight loss surgery one.
Okay.
Start, but yeah, they tend to fight with each other.
Okay. Why? Can I just ask? Why do they fight each other?
Because I think I value them both equally, and depending on the day and who I've come in contact with and what I have been exposed to, one seems to rise above the other, and then the other one will come back up. So,
which one do you think is going to make the greatest difference and be the most fulfilling to you? Which one do you think will make the greatest difference for the people that you attract?
I don't know. I think this is a bit where I'm blocked. I'm not sure. I think they're both equally as important. I want to say the finance one.
Okay.
That's the one that comes to mind first.
Can I ask, do you already have a database of clients, or like, you know, even
not yet?
You don't have a database?
I'm literally starting from scratch.
Is either one of these linked to a previous industry that you've been in?
No, they're linked to personal experience.
Personal experience. Okay. Which one was the okay, so if it's linked to personal experience, when somebody says this to me, the first place that I would go is that I would actually, you know, if somebody was working with me and they said, no, they're linked to personal experience, what I would actually get you to do is to clear out any emotional baggage or links that you have to that, to work out which one is coming from an inspired place and which one is coming from a place of like, I want to save people. Yeah. So the way that you can do this, so I'm going to give you some homework here, is to actually, in both of those experiences, I want you to ask yourself, what was the benefit of me going through that experience? Like when I was in it, how did it actually serve me and how did it help me grow? Do it with both of those, because it will start to give you some insights. And you'll find that you'll possibly find that one of them will just clear out and you'll go, oh no, that was, you know, that doesn't hold as much like weight anymore. And then you'll find that you'll go, oh no, that still feels really inspiring to me. That still feels really inspiring to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would be the first thing. Can I just ask, when it comes to, now, were your parents in business?
No.
Okay. Is there, because and this is when it comes to mindset work as well, just keep in mind that the way you are in business is often the way that your father was in business. In business or in employment. So you know, when people are starting businesses and they have had parents that haven't had businesses, often it will feel really uncomfortable. Okay. Really uncomfortable, because it's like, I don't know what this looks like. So that's the first thing to understand, is like, go easy on yourself, because it's, you know, it's a different thing. Where, can I just ask, what was your dad like in business? What were his sort of traits that he had in his career?
He was hardworking.
Yeah.
Worked a lot. He was dedicated, honest. He was a policeman, so he didn't really bring it home a lot. So they're probably the top three that I can think of straight off the top of my head that I was aware of.
Yep. Okay. Were there any negative traits that he had with his career?
Not really. He didn't bring a lot of the negatives home with him. Okay. So I'm sure that in talking to my mum, he would probably be frustrated. I currently work in a similar field, not on the road, but similar. And so I know personally frustration, and just a feeling of not being able to make really strong impacts sometimes. So maybe a little bit of like frustration at situations and frustration personally, I would imagine would probably have been something that he would struggle with. But I mean, I could just be projecting that from what I feel personally.
No, that's okay, because it is all just a projection. That's why I asked this question. And I asked this because it's easier to see other people's stuff than what it is our own. But what you said there is spot on. You might just be projecting. That's, you know, that's what we all do. That's, you know, largely our experience of life. Okay, so so what do you think that you would need to do? What do you think that you would need to do in order to work out which one to focus on?
Well, probably do the question that you told me to do, and think about it. I've been doing some meditations, but they haven't really been focused on what's most important. So maybe some more like thinking through that, little bit of meditating on what's most passionate for me right now.
And can I ask you, what's the resistance to starting this business?
I think just a little bit of imposter syndrome, not thinking that I'm good enough, not thinking that I know enough, not thinking that that people take me seriously, thinking that, you know, maybe people don't want to.
Okay, so is this the real reason why you can't decide?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe?
Maybe.
Or definitely?
Probably definitely.
Yeah. So that is the real issue. If you don't address that, you're gonna sit there going back and forth for years. You could get stuck for a long time. Okay, there is still work for you to do beyond this call. I'm not going to go, we'll just do a balance in 15 minutes, but this is going to be the next step for you. When it comes to imposter syndrome, Eleni was the best example that I had of that on, I think it was last mastermind or the one before. We nailed the imposter syndrome for her on a live call, and I think everyone could actually, it might have been the call before, because I think Kathy's looking at my face like it was blank. No, it was the first one. She's looking blank like I wasn't there for that. It was the first one. We do cover for everyone that sort of, I know that other people will be in a similar position. The imposter syndrome is big, and the reason that the imposter syndrome keeps us stuck is because we don't publicly talk about it, because then everyone will find out that I don't know enough. So it's like it actually keeps us in gridlock. And we do cover this on the mastermind. We go quite deep on this particular one. But for now, because I've only got a couple of minutes left, I'm going to do. I'm going to help you with a balance. What I've heard, and I just want to make sure that this resonates with you. I can hear my 2-year-old going, Mum. Sorry, guys. One moment. I'm just going to have to make sure he's okay. Floyd. Okay, I've just got people to call, so you have to sit on Mum's knee and be a good boy.
Oh, thanks, Mum.
Oh, that's okay.
Mom.
Okay. Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. This is Floyd.
Hi.
Buddy. Okay. So what? And I just want to make sure that this is your words, not mine. If you believed that you had something of value, like if you were valuable and had something to offer, thanks, Hira, he is cute. If you believed that you were valuable and had something to offer, do you think that that would help you make a decision?
Yes.
Okay, so let's run with that. Okay, Floyd, we're going to do a balance, okay? So you can be a helper too. Okay, I'm just going to look into your energy. Okay, it's safe and appropriate. I need to balance. Be a surrogate for Jennifer now. My name is Jennifer. Okay, so Jennifer, okay, I'm just going to write down this. Oh, okay. You see these stickers, you can do that. Okay, so I am
I'm rich.
valuable.
I'm the which one?
Hang on, mate.
Bob.
To offer. Okay, so the highest priority statement is I am valuable and have something to offer. Yep, perfect. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I would like you to hook your right ankle over your left ankle for me.
Yep.
And then do your left wrist over your right wrist like that. And then roll your hands into each other.
Yep.
And then you can just lay them in your lap. And then with your head straight, but with your eyes glancing down, I'd like you to say out loud 3 times, I am valuable and have something to offer.
I am valuable and have something to offer. I am valuable and have something to offer. I am valuable and have something to offer.
And now close your eyes for me. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to say this over and over again. I am valuable and have something to offer. And as you're saying that to yourself over and again, I want you to imagine how your business looks like and feels like when those clients that you're resonating with and those clients that are coming to you, that you feel with certainty that you are valuable and you have something to offer, because you do. You have an amazing experience to offer. So just, sorry for I know that this is distracting kids.
Okay.
So just get into that and just start to imagine how your life looks like when you know with certainty that you are valuable and you do have something to offer. And start to imagine those people coming to you and imagine that you're helping them. And see that they know that you're here helping them from direct experience, not necessarily from a degree or any of that other stuff. You're helping them because you know what it feels like and you know how to get out of it because you've done it. And you'll know when you're done because you'll feel a shift, or you'll just go, of course I'm valuable. Of course I have something to offer. And as you're imagining that, start to feel a sense of gratitude that I'm so grateful that I'm able to help people. I'm so grateful that I own my value and then I offer it to help people. Okay. Okay, how does that feel?
Good. I started to get a bit angry with myself. I was like, you are valuable. You have something to offer.
Well, of course you are.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, that's look, that, and there's that's the first step. You know, that is the first step. But a beautiful example for everyone, that often we do sit in that place of indecision when there's really something else going on. When we can see more benefits staying stuck on some level, we will do it. We just naturally will. So that's why you've got to want it. Like, you've got to want to, like, not the end result, like, you've got to want the end result, but you've also got to want to change. Like, you've got to be willing to actually take that step and address what's going on below the surface. So thank you so much for sharing that. Like, that was such a beautiful example.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It'll be really not like, It'll be interesting to see what transpires for you. Let us know in the group if all of a sudden you work out which one you want to do.
Okay.
That'll be really cool. That'll be awesome. Thank you so much. Did that feel valuable to you, Jennifer?
Yeah, it did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I'm so excited about tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to go through step by step exactly what is required to live a life that's on purpose. So I'm going to pull everything that we've covered together this week and give you a really succinct checklist. So not just like a bunch of like, how does this work? I'm going to give you a really succinct checklist, so you'll be able to see which ones you've already nailed and which ones you haven't. So really excited to see you all tomorrow. Thanks for being on the call, and thank you, Jennifer. And thank you for everyone that's been staying in contact and checking in on the group. And thank you, Flo, for doing your art. Okay, we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Mommy, help me one.
Oh, yeah, I'll help you.